Hello everybody, Jason Duck Barber here with Farming Blind with Duck. As I'm getting ready for this year's hay season, one of the primary objectives, I have to replace my rake teeth in my wheel rake from the previous year. You're going to have that happen periodically throughout the year, so several different times throughout I have to typically just replace them. Uh, of course, with being visually impaired, a lot of times it's hard to actually see which tooth is actually missing. So the way I typically do it is I just lay my hand up against the teeth and rotate until I get around to where I feel a void. Then I feel there's a rake tooth right there missing. I'll go on around to where I started. Okay, I don't see any more. So I know on this one wheel, I've got to replace this one tooth. And they'll be sporadic throughout the rest of the rake, which the technique will be basically the same. When I get ready to replace the rake teeth, each tooth section has different size nuts and bolts on it. So what I typically have to do, again, being visually impaired, I basically do everything by feel. I find my rake tooth and I'll follow it down until I find the segment that it's in. Then I'll reach behind, find the nuts that hold it on, which right there would be the segment that I've got to be in. Now typically, I don't necessarily know what size it is. So as I usually, over the years, I've developed a sense of feel to kind of get an idea of which nut and which size it is. Right here, I feel like that the nut's approximately 11/16 or so. After I get an estimate of what size nut or bolt it is, I'll typically go into my toolbox. Again, unfortunately, I don't know exactly which size I'm looking for, and I cannot always read or hardly ever read what size my sockets are. Typically, how I do that, again, is by feel. I know about what size the bolt or the nut is, so I grab a socket, and I can typically feel the size, and then I'll come back out. A lot of times I'll grab 3 or 4 close size sockets to get an estimate until I feel like I got the right one. When I come out, I'll check it, I'll find the bolt, right there it is, then I'll loosen it up. As I find the bank of bolts and nuts that holds the coupler, which holds the teeth on, I'll go through and get, sometimes it can only take 2 sets of bolts, sometimes it's 4. So I've gone through and opened, got everything loosened up. Once I get that, I'll simply grab my tooth, roll it out, and taking it off. Now what I'll do is I'll feel my way around. I found where the tooth will go in. As you'll notice, I'm not even looking at it really. I'm just kind of feeling my way around. After you've done this for several years, you feel how things go. Now I've got my tooth installed. I'll go back around to the back. I can feel which bolts is tight and loosened. And I'll go back and tighten them all back up. Same sequence throughout the whole rake. Periodically, whenever I'm got all the nuts and the bolts loose, I'll drop one. Okay, for the visually impaired, that's a blind man's worst nightmare. But luckily, one of the handiest tools that I have around on the farm for something like this, it's just a simple little magnet on a handle. I can go around on the ground. Sometimes I can even hear it pick it up. Finally, found it. After that, other than that, it would be basically impossible for me to continue doing anything with this because I simply couldn't. Grab it, and I simply install the nut. This one went relatively easy. A lot of times here on the farm, working on a project like this, sometimes it can take me all day just to simply put rake teeth in. Luckily, this was the best one yet. As we move on to other pieces of equipment, I just wanted everybody to see that even though you may be visually impaired, for me, I have, you would say, mastered the art of feeling. That's how I predominantly do most everything here on the farm. Do it by feel and or using my peripheral visions. So I just want to take this opportunity to let you guys see exactly how I can work on certain things. Again, it's not always that easy. Sometimes it takes me a long time just to do a simple little project, but I've always been the type of person I want to figure it out, do it for myself. If I need to, I know I can always ask for help, but there again, I just like to try to do things and be as independent as I can. So there you go. That's another episode of Farming Blind with Duck here on the farm as we get our hay equipment ready for this year's hay season. Have a great day.